There was an article published in a company journal in Europe that said these 5 guys have done more to stunt the development of research in business strategy than anybody in the history of academics. They literally identified it. Okay. And the absence of originality and creativity. I review 100 articles a year for journals. I do literally 10 a month just about. Very seldom do I see something that's innovative. Hofstede. If I see one more article by Hofstede, I'm going to have, I'm going to throw up my lunch. I've seen so many that are the exact same thing or very similar to being the same thing. And oh, by the way, as we were talking about, he developed that 50 years ago. The data was 50 years ago. Do you think something might have changed in that 50 years?
The argument is that it's stable and cannot be changed.
Well, I understand what the arguments are. I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense to me, and culture does change, and 50 years is long enough for it to change it. Okay, let me speed up so we get through our stuff. So what about the consolidation of ownership? Who cares? You now know that Elsevier owns 1,200 journals in the world. Paragon owns 1,500 journals in the world. So what? What's the big so what of that being on the board as being so important to your careers? How do journal groups make their decisions based upon what's in the journal, what's hot in the topic, or how to make money? It's how to make money. They sit down, we meet with the Elsevier people who are out of Europe, and they say, okay, here's how many pages you get next year, here's the number of people we want from Europe, here's the number of people we want from the United States. The Chinese market's growing, we'd like them to have 40% of the articles next year. And I'm saying, wait a minute, we haven't reviewed anything. I don't care, this is what we want. They own the journal. We have the old adage in the United States, it's their ball and they get to do what they want with it. That's a gigantic change in the last 10 years. They didn't used to own. Now that the lady I work with on our journal, she runs 30 journals. She's the managing editor for 30 journals. And she says, here's the number of pages you get. We're going to try to open up a market here. We want more articles from there. We want reviewers from here. We want this. We want that. Now, I try to meet her as close as I possibly can, because if I don't, they can shut down the journal, although this journal's been around for 50 years. Or they can say, let's find a new editor that'll listen to what we're saying. Is that going to impact what's going to be published? You better believe it. Okay? Another thing that bothers me, methods becoming the message. Oh, let's do structural equation modeling. Let's do this, let's do that. And after a while you just say, what's the message you're trying to say? Let me give you an example. In marketing, there's a woman, I won't tell you her name, really good. I mean, she is very, very, very good. She did this study, and she didn't find anything. So what she did was she just started analyzing. What some people refer to as data mining. That's screwing with the data. It's not data mining. It's called screwing with the data. And Ruth screwed with the data, and she found something. She wrote an entire paper in the journal Marketing, and the concluding comment in her article was, if you treat your customers well, they're more likely to buy from you again. And here all this time I've been mean to them and nasty to them and giving them bad products, thinking, why aren't they coming back? It was elaborate, beautiful. I mean, you couldn't touch her because she's that good. But the conclusion was, you treat your customers well and they'll buy from you again. No. The method now runs, in marketing in particular, it runs what is really being said, which I think is unfortunate. What's the role of electronic journals in this overall process? Because we're looking at building your career, getting well known. Today it's laughable. If you put something in an electronic journal, that means you couldn't get it published in a real journal. If we're ranking them A, B, C, electronic journals are G. Not good, okay? In 5, maybe 10 years, these will be the way you'll be evaluated because it'll be seen globally. The other ones, if you look at Journal Retailing as an example, it only has 700 subscribers. 1% of them are business people, which I think is fascinating. What could be more business oriented than retail? 1% of the journal subscribers are retailers. But if you want to be known and seen visible and everything else, it's going to be on electronic. It's not going to be, do I buy this journal or does my library have it? That's gone. it will happen quickly, because what's going to happen is the ELSA leavers are going to say, we don't want to keep printing these things, we're going to put them in electronic format, and it'll be called the Journal of World Business, it's going to be electronic format. And we will have absolutely no say-so about it at all. You should start submitting now so you can get your name in at these electronic journals. It'll hurt you in the short run, the long run will help you. Special issue. I have a guy that I don't like. I have a lot of people I don't like, but I don't like this guy a lot. I call him Special Issue Bob. Special Issue, he was one of the guys in strategic management that everybody knew was screwing with stuff. But anyway, Special Issue Bob can say to you, I have 32 A+ level journals, A-star journals, articles. Boy, that's amazing, Bob. And then I sat down and looked at them. 28 of them were in special issues that he was the special issue editor, or his friends, Mormons, were the special issues. Now, does that mean he's a star? And the answer is no. He's got friends in high places. He knows how to play the game. I will tell you, and I think this is an important point, if there's a special issue in your field in a good journal, write something for it. Because every time you have a special issue, you normally get 10, 15 articles submitted to it. You're going to accept 7 of it. All of a sudden, you got a hit rate of 50%. We have a hit rate of 6%. If I have a special issue in my journal, it'll be a hit rate in the 30 or 40%. Bob's not dumb, I just don't like him. Okay, and he's built his career on, kind of messing with the system. Okay, modification. This whole ranking thing is just bizarre. We're now ranking journals so we can tell how good of school you are by how many hits you have, and we rank these journals. And we never sit down, which I think is fascinating as a manager, and say, what kind of resources does it take? How long does it take? What kind of access do you have to the data to get into that journal? Does the guy at MIT have a better chance than I do? And the answer is, yeah, pretty good. Is he also smarter than I am? The answer is, yeah, that's probably true too. But he's certainly got the money and the access, and oh, by the way, he teaches 5 students a year. The faculty to student ratio at MIT is 3 to 1. 3 faculty members for every 1 student. Okay, my average class size is 78. Okay, I'm an endowed chair. If I wasn't that, it'd be 500. I don't know. I get small classes. My point to you here is there's a very good article if you want to read it. It's called "If You Need a List, You're Not a Very Good Department." In other words, if no one in your department knows what's good, and you're going to put a list together, and that tells me you don't have anybody say good in your department. Okay, those are things that are going on. Here's what's going to impact your research. Things that I would look for as the hook. Infrastructure. Everybody's talking about emerging markets, everybody's talking about China, everybody's excited about India, everybody's excited about everything. And all those things need are what? Infrastructure. What's the issue with infrastructure? China's got this gigantic boom. Half of their growth in their GNP is in infrastructure. So what? So what? What does infrastructure do? I'm not going to move stuff from the port to here, and the airplane to there, and the store here. But what does it really do? Let me give you a number on the United States. The United States has 3% of the total world population. We have 30% of the world's pollution. Why? We've had an infrastructure for almost 100 years. We've had roads, we've had railroads, we've had airports, we've had all kinds of stuff moving around. Now the Chinese are saying, well, we want to move around too. What's going to happen when we get 1.2 billion people in those cars driving around, taking buses and flying from here to there? What's going to happen when it happens in India? The answer is, we've got a problem, and somebody better start looking at what role infrastructure is going to play in developing the future of these emerging economies. One of the biggest interesting things I found about China, and I've been studying China not because I like it, I want to understand it, is that they have a significant manpower shortage. They've got 1.3 billion people, and they have a shortage of what? The people that can manage. If you look at who's managing, it's people that they're bringing in from the outside to manage the companies. It's very few Chinese, there's Chinese people there, normally in charge of the finance and accounting, stuff like that. But if you look at the overall running of the company, it's not Chinese. There's a shortage of Chinese. There's a shortage of Indian managers to the point where all the Indians that were trained in the United States are now moving back to India because they've got greater job